Hey, what's going on? And welcome back to the Rockman Power Hour, a podcast where we talk to the most interesting people in the world of pop culture. My name is Jason Rockman. This is my co-host, Ryan Stick. Ryan, before we get too far, let's remind people, like and subscribe. So important to us. If you are enjoying the podcast, and we are getting so many emails, messages, all kinds of stuff from people saying, we're loving you guys, we're loving what you're doing. We appreciate it. And please remember to subscribe to the YouTube page if you are watching us on YouTube, because that will help you get alerted and you will not miss out on content. So like, subscribe, leave comments. We appreciate all of it. And we really, really appreciate you being alongside this journey with us on the Rockman Power Hour.
Click the bell.
Click the bell. Yeah, click the bell.
Yeah.
That's it. Do what the young kids do. Click the bell. I'm going to click something else besides the bell. I'm going to click the Heartbeat Hot Sauce bell.
There
ding,
you go.
Ding, 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 ding.
It's a good
ding.
bell to have. I got corn. I got the corn hot sauce here to slay.
Ready.
Yeah.
I sent a message the other day to try to get some of that, sold out. So they're doing something right.
Ooh.
New batch is coming though, but check out Heartbeat Hot Sauce. They've got so many different ones you can try. I'm holding up the Ryan Ellis. This has become one of my fast favorites. I've already gone through a bottle of this. I'm going to go crack this one open after and put this on some of my cauliflower wings. Really, really good stuff. Small batch fermenters out of Thunder Bay, Ontario. And if you use our promo code ROCKMAN20, you'll get 20% off your entire order. And you can use it over and over and over again. Don't think it's a one-time use code. You can use it over and over again. So thank you to Heartbeat Hot Sauce. And thank you to our friends at Studio House Designs. Ryan, you were wearing the Itchy the Killer shirt. I love it. And I love how Ryan rocks the long sleeves. So you've got all that fun stuff going on your sleeve. And you got
that's what people say about my arms. They don't have a lot of muscles, but they're fun looking. You know?
so check them out at studiohousedesigns.com. Got to give a shout out to my buddy at Holy Mountain Printing. He sent me this Doom shirt. You know, I'm a big fan of Doom. And I got this in the mail today. And I love Doom. So thank you for that. Really, really rad. Love t-shirt companies. They're great. So definitely support Holy Mountain Printing and support Studios, who've been with us since the beginning. Wasiu. He is our guest today. Not a household name necessarily for people that aren't into hip hop, but a lot of people might know him under his other alias, which is Jean-Baptiste. And this guy is so funny. I love when someone is able to bring a comedic character to life through Instagram, through TikTok, because we are, like one of our guests in the past said, or one of our guests probably coming up in the future, depending when we're doing this. But we did speak to a guy named Mark from Suicide Silence, and he referred to it as doom scrolling.
Yeah.
You just scroll. And sometimes when you're scrolling through, you will find people that do funny stuff and you'll like accounts. And that's exactly how I discovered Wasiu, was through his character, Jean-Baptiste. Hilarious take on living in Montreal with someone who is a sovereigntist, who is of Haitian descent, lives in Montreal, is francophone, does not want to hear any English. And he uses the terms like "fuck you English," "vous êtes au Québec ici," and it's just so funny because it's so tongue in cheek. Because when you talk to this guy, he's perfectly bilingual. He raps in English. Yeah. He doesn't subscribe to that at all. He just wants to make it's social commentary, and it's great. It's really, really good. As someone who lives in Montreal, who works in French and in English, who's comfortable in both languages, who embraces both cultures. I think it's great when we can laugh at ourselves, because that's something that's lacking in the world now. So Ryan, Wasiu, really funny. We watched a clip. Do you want to play the clip now? Why don't we play the clip now so people can get an idea what he's all about? Okay, so we found this clip. It's Wasiu playing his character, Jean-Baptiste, and this is like a fake news report in a CTV Stéphane Giroux kind of voice on him. So check this out.
Meet Jean-Baptiste, the self-proclaimed leader of the Québec Sit Fuck You English movement. With his polarizing views and opinions, he's become a sensation on the internet. He spends his days in the streets of Montreal preaching his gospel in the hopes that someday he will convert the world.
Conduit comme du monde, ça parle en français au téléphone? OK. Fuck you, English. To Québec, sit.
Right?
A really great guy. One of my favorite interviews that you've ever done. He's going to say something along the lines of, it's a very polarizing comedy sometimes where people really take it seriously. And that's just credit to him as a great actor. Like his eyes are selling the lunacy that he's saying. And it's humor that is deeply appreciated when you're a Quebecer, but at the same time, I think kind of like Trailer Park Boys, this humor, if understood correctly, can be international.
Yes, and I think people are going to enjoy this. So, without any further ado, here's our conversation with Wasiu. Nice to meet you. You've been making me laugh for fucking a few years now.
Appreciate it. Nice to meet you too.
Dude, like, you're really funny, and it's funny how every once in a while you'll find somebody online that's doing something that just really, really makes you laugh. And there's a couple of people online now that are doing things that I just find are incredible, and you're one of them. And I reached out to you a couple of times, and I noticed right away you responded. You were pretty good about responding. I was like, dude, this is fucking great. My wife and I are dying, and you're like, because I think what's great about this character that you have, and the other thing is there's so many sides to you, but this character of Jean-Baptiste is really, really funny because he can be very polarizing in one way. Like there's some people that don't get Montreal. Like I'm a Montrealer. I've lived here my whole life. My wife's Francophone. I'm bilingual. I understand Montreal. Like I don't identify as a Canadian. I don't identify as a Quebecer. I identify as a Montrealer. And that's
the thing. My manager used to say that. He's like, yeah, this whole Francophone Quebec identity thing. I'm a Montreal. I don't know anything else about the rest. So.
Right. And that's the first thing that spoke to me. As soon as I saw this, I go, this guy gets it, and he's a Montrealer, and he understands, because there's people that seriously feel the way you feel as that character. And there's some people that will latch onto that. Like I work in radio. I work at CHOM. I'm an announcer at CHOM. We have a talk station called CJAD, which is, the longest running English talk station in Canada. And a lot of the callers that will call in there, I'll call them the Anglophones. Because language issue to them is very important, on the other side of it, where for them, they feel like they're getting pushed out of their home and they grew up here. So there's such a tension that exists in Quebec. And I find that this character really, really captures exactly how a lot of people feel and how a lot of people look at this as absolutely ridiculous. So first of all, I wanted to ask you, how did that character come to be, and how much fun are you having with it?
So during the pandemic, so this is like early 2020. And then I was talking to my manager, and he was just like, yo, me and this other guy he manages, like, yo, y'all gotta hop on TikTok. Actually, he told us that before the pandemic, like end of 2019. Yeah. And I tried to do a few things, but like I wasn't really with it. I didn't really know like how it worked. I felt like it was for kids. So I just kind of let the moment slip. And then once the pandemic hit, everybody started hopping on TikTok. So I felt like I missed my opportunity. So then I started doing like what was trending. I was trying to figure out how I could catch one. And I didn't really know how that would work. And then I was trying a lot of different things. It wasn't really working. And then finally I did this one TikTok where it was like one day living in Quebec, a week living in Quebec. And then at the end, Jean-Baptiste character, before I named him, it was just like, fuck you, English, blah, 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 whatever, right? And then, so once that started happening, that really worked. And then I started pushing it again, see if it would stick. And then it kind of worked. And I was just talking in my group chat with my manager and the other artist he manages. And I'm like, started creating a backstory. I'm like, oh, this guy's, his name's Jean-Baptiste, and he's, you know what I'm saying? He's black, but like the whole character kind of emerged out of a joke. And I'm like, oh, let me just run with it. I just kept doing it, and I'm still having a lot of fun with it. At some points, it's like I kind of take a break because I'm like, oh, I don't know if this is working or if I want to keep doing it. But like, it got so much fun, and I always love to act. So I'm like, I kind of use it as a way to, practice my acting skills, and just kind of having a lot of fun with it, and using it to push my music too and stuff like that. So. Well,
and that's the other side of it. I mean, there's, someone will look at you and they'll be like, who is this guy? And then they look into it, and then they see you're an accomplished hip hop artist that tours the world, and that's what I think really caught my attention. Was I started watching a lot of your videos of as Jean-Baptiste, and then I see you're like on stage in New York or you're on stage in Chicago, and I was like, holy shit, because I come from a music background. Like I used to tour the States all the time. I know how hard it is as a music artist to break into the US or internationally. So let alone, I mean, a lot of artists from Montreal would go play and they play Europe, but breaking into the States, that's a whole other ball of wax. So when I saw that, I was like, man, there's a lot of sides to this guy, and I got to talk to him. I got to find out what makes him tick. So you discover this character. You start doing these videos and you start getting reactions. Did you get any adverse reactions, or did most people get where you were coming from? Did most people get the joke?
That's a good question. I don't really read comments comments as much anymore, just because
Right. Yeah, of
there's
course.
so many. But especially when I started out, when things were starting to pick up, I noticed. I'd say the way I split it was like 5, 5, and 90. Right. So 5% of people were completely against the character. Thought I was 100% serious. It's like I guess I'll call them the anglophones now, because that's
Anglophones.
exactly
There you
what they
go.
were.
You can use the word. It's yours.
Yeah, so that's what they were. Like, they were really angry. Like, this is why everybody hates Quebec. You frogs, and all these insults I never knew were a thing until like I started reading the comments. So they were really, really angry. And so some of them from Ontario, some of them from here, but like the anglophones. And then another 5% were the people who also didn't understand that it was a joke, but they were like, "We love this guy. He's 100% right." And they're like defending me in the comments versus the anglophones and going crazy, talking about the history. And you know, like one thing that always happens in every single one of the videos is people talking about, "Oh, this is why I hate the Quebecois accent, because it's not real French." And then lo and behold, there's always going to be that one person that says, "Oh, but technically speaking, this is the actual accent, the original French accent of the whole history," right? So that 5% on each side are always attacking each other, and they're also the loudest. But I'd say like 90%, maybe 85 to 90% of people understand I guess a joke and it's like, "Oh, this is funny." But the loudest people obviously are at the extremities. So it's like, it was really interesting to see people like, I didn't know how polarizing it would be, but like people really, really, really going crazy for it.
And what's great about it is that it's an incredible social experiment. You know, you're talking about wanting to make an impact on TikTok. Yeah, it's one thing if you're doing a stupid dance and all that, and that comes and goes. But this you're really getting. Not only are you making an impact and there's a comedic element to it, but you're getting people to have real conversations. Yeah. And I think that's what's great about it, because I've always been a believer that you shouldn't censor comedy. You should never censor comics, because comedy is what keeps us kind of in line. Comedy is what teaches us to laugh at ourselves, and we need that. So when you start censoring comics, I think it's dangerous. And I found that it was a very bold thing to be doing in this day and age, because people are so ready to cancel people for things. And when I saw you going out on a limb and going, "No, I'm going to do this," I loved it. And I'm glad that you're getting, the attention that you're getting on it, because it really, really is funny, man. And growing up in Montreal, and knowing all that, especially when you do things where you're breaking down boroughs and you're being different characters in each borough. I mean, that is just that. Growing up in Montreal, being someone who's lived in a lot of different areas, who's lived in Cartierville and Saint Laurent, then lived in NDG and lived downtown and lived in the West Island. I've lived in all these places. So it really is very, very different depending on what area you're in.
That's like kind of my favorite part of because I'm always trying to find different angles to not to make it too repetitive, and that has been my favorite thing to do, is having like different boroughs, because me being closer to the east side of Montreal and like to the east north, and like even off island to the north, I know a lot of people who never really, other than going downtown, they never really been out west. Like one of my homegirls, like really close friends, she was like, "Yo, you ever heard of Notre Dame de Grâce?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." And they're like, "I've never been there. That's crazy." God. And like, they really, all my friends on the east, they really have never been anywhere out west. It's just fortunate for me, because I mean, I used to live in Côte d'Ivoire when I was a kid, but then we moved to the east, and then I kind of just stayed there. But like, because I went to Dawson College, that kind of like opened up all of the different ethnicities and different cultures in Montreal. So it's like, where I'm from, everyone who's Black is Haitian, like almost 100%. Yeah. And then I get to Dawson and I'm seeing people and they're like, "I ain't Haitian, what are you talking about?" And they're speaking English. I'm like, "Oh shoot." I forget like there's a whole other side of Montreal.
Side to the city,
so I think it was really fun. That's like my favorite part of doing it, is like just the different boroughs and different. The first time I went to the West Island, I felt like I crossed the border. Like it was just like, it felt like, oh man, this feels so different from the architect. Everything felt really different from where I'm from. You know what I'm saying? So it's just really interesting. Montreal's such a small city, but
it's so diverse.
Yeah, exactly.
It's diverse, and and that's what I think is beautiful about our city, is that we have so much to offer for such a small place. And that's what makes it unique. And obviously having two languages that splinters into many other languages. I mean, we have a lot to offer here. And I think you might not have set out to do that, but I think you're giving people almost like a snapshot into what Montreal life is like, with a comedic twist to it. Growing up in NDG, I remember my dad had a trucking company, And when I would have days off from high school, he would put me on a truck, or in elementary school, he would put me on a truck, and I'd go off with with Monsieur Descaries to do all our deliveries. And I remember going to P9 and going to Dick Ann's and going to all these places that all my friends in NDG were like, "What?" And picking up accents and being able to do being able to speak French more than most of my counterparts, and being able to replicate Quebecois trucking accents and being able to curse in French. And I used to have so much fun with it. So I guess it kind of brings me back to what I used to do when I was a kid too, because I loved being able to just put on characters and pretend that I was a trucker and roll up take my cigarettes and roll them up in my sleeve, my export A greens and do all that thing, which are very much stereotypes, but stereotypes stick for a reason. And that's what people have to realize. Like, there's a reason why they're stereotypes, because a lot of the time there are stereotypes that are rooted in some truth. And when someone's able to bring a comedic twist to that, I think it's funny, because again, it teaches us to laugh at ourselves.
For sure. And that's one thing I've learned in doing all these things, and also just growing up being like I'm Quebecois, I'm born here, but like obviously my mom's from Haiti and my dad is Nigerian, and
right.
a lot of people of color being Quebecois is kind of like a weird in between phase where it's like you never identify as being Quebecois, and you don't really belong to or identify with wherever your parents are from. So you're kind of like in this weird in between. Okay, well, I'm just a Montrealer, so I have all of these cultures and ethnicities. But it's not till you leave the province for an extended period of time where, damn, I'm more Quebecois than I thought. You know what I'm saying? Like it's really interesting. It's an interesting thing for people of color who are Quebecois who leave Quebec, and you start like the lingo they use, or like the words they use, or like things, what we like to eat, how we view things. It's like, oh man, I'm way more Quebecois than I thought. And that's what I thought was kind of interesting with the character too, because it's like it reminds me. I don't know if you ever watched the Boondocks,
of course,
but yeah. So it was like a Uncle Ruckus type of character who's like supremely unaware of who he is.
Yeah,
but and then so that's what was really fun about this whole thing. It's kind of like, it started off as only a joke, but real things kind of sort of came out of it. So yeah, it's been really fun and interesting to do that.
Talking about traveling and leaving the place you grew up in. I remember one of the things that I'm a big Public Enemy fan, and one of the things that Chuck D always used to say that stuck out to me is, when people ask me what's the best advice I can give a young person, and he always would say, get a passport and use it. And it's so true, like the idea of being a citizen. He'd always say, I'm an Earth citizen, like I'm a citizen of Earth. And traveling it's the same thing as education. It's a luxury, but when you're able to have it and you're able to push people towards it, it changes everything.
100%.
It really, really does. So let me ask you a bit about your music, because you got a brand new album out. You have a whole other side to you, which hasn't, I don't think too much to do with Jean-Baptiste. You have a hip hop, tell me a bit about that, and tell me a bit about how that started and where you're going with that.
Right. So I've been making music since forever, I guess, since high school. And then took it more seriously, I guess, in 2012 when I was at Dawson and stuff like that. But I really started putting out music under my name, Wasiu, in 2015 when I had a song with Kitchenada called Physical.
Yeah.
And that's always been my first love. Like, everything I do is because of music, it's because of hip hop. And even the whole TikTok thing going up is all for the music. Like, if it wasn't for me being an artist, I probably wouldn't have social media, because the thought of it, I don't really like it as much. And I kind of have an addictive personality. So like, if I get on something, I just kind of stick to it. So I'd rather stay away from it. But because of what I do, because I got to have visibility and stuff like that. So that's why I'm onto social media. So everything I did was, okay, I'll blow up in this to redirect it to the music, Right. So yes, I've been doing music since forever, mainly in hip hop. But in 2018, 2017, I started delving a little bit into the EDM world.
Yeah.
So I've been making some collaborating with a lot of electronic artists who are really big. And shout out to Apache. He's me and him have a record called Majesty, which was amassed over 59 million streams on Spotify.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been going crazy. He blew up on TikTok, like the sound blew up on TikTok and stuff like that. And he's pretty big in the electronic music scene. And he's been touring a lot. He's been bringing me on tours, and now I started opening up for him too, as well as doing the 4 records that we had together. So yeah, honestly, hip hop is my love, my first love. But electronic music has really been paying the bills and really been pushing this thing to go worldwide. And like you said, the best thing for me, honestly, is like you said, we've been stuck on this little Montreal island for so long. Like, the first time I left the continent-ish, I went to Cuba. It was like I was 24 years old.
Right.
So like I never really traveled that much, maybe other than the States, like going to visit family, but it's always been like a really East Coast or Montreal thing. And then music has allowed me to travel.
And
I went to,
it's a beautiful thing about music, and for musicians,
it's amazing.
It really is. It opens the doors for so many things.
Yeah, like I went to Europe for the first time in my life in November, and in my head, I never thought I would want to go to Europe. I never thought I'd have fun in Europe, and ended up being like the best time of my life. Honestly, just like meeting people from a different country, from a different continent, and being able to connect with music, and people really appreciating the music, and it's just like, wow, people all the way out here like know some of my music, know some of my words, and it was a surreal moment. I'm like, oh, music really allowed me like to do all of these things. So this is what I do it for, and that's what I love doing. And everything I do is to reinforce that aspect of my life.
And it's great when you can actually get out and travel and see the impact that music's had in a place where you've never even set foot in or even thought about going.
Yeah.
And that's where you see the power of it. And especially in the day and age that we live in now, where information travels so quickly and music can travel so quickly. Before, when you would tour, there was so much legwork that went into touring and prepping someone in a market. And if you didn't have radio or didn't have video support on whatever video outlet that was running in that country, you were done. There's no way you're going to have any. So you would have to be an opener. But nowadays you can show up and never have played a place and have a sold out show because people know who you are through the power of the internet. And that's what I do love about social media and the internet. It is a great connector for so many people. And for artists, it's been a game changer because the music business blew up. And, about 20 years ago, the whole music blew, with downloading music and with streaming and all that, it just killed the music industry as we knew it from one day to the next. I mean, we went from one day people were buying records to the next day they were on Napster just downloading music. And to see artists realizing that, hey, I can take this power back and there's no more middleman. Like I can record music at home. I can put it out myself. I can collect revenue myself. I know the margins are small and there's still a lot of growth to happen in that, but that power is coming back to the artists. And it's a great thing to see because you can really, really be you can be the master of your own destiny if you put the work in, which is great.
Absolutely.
Tell me a bit about the new record. I got a chance to listen to it a couple of times. The first thing that struck me, and I guess this is the marketing side of you, was the cover.
Yeah. It was So I've been making music for a while, like you said, and I don't really have like a huge team. It's me, my manager, and a few producers that we collab with. So we've always been trying to find ways to like we're at a point where musically we know things are good, but it's really about, okay, how do we get it out there? How do we get a buzz? It's all about marketing because, there's a lot of barriers being from Montreal. So one, we're Canadian, trying to go into an American market. Two, we're in Quebec, making English music. So it's like a whole bunch of barriers and hurdles to jump over. So we're always trying to figure out the best way to like, okay, how to get out there, how to get attention and stuff like that. And I've always been a pretty provocative person when it comes to my music. So we're like, okay, well, the cover's got to be provocative as well. So we brainstorming some ideas, and then the whole concept of Candyland came about like a different conversation, and we're like, let's just go full steams ahead with this concept. And the cover, this is where the cover came about. Had a little photo shoot, and we're like, this is gonna be provocative, but also like there's still some artistic value into it as well. So
100%.
It's like, always teetering that line where it's like, okay, you're almost doing too much, but also I see where you're going with it. So, and at the end of the day, if the music was trash, then I think it would just be like an attention grab. But like, it's like, okay, look at me, but also while you're here, listen to some really good music as well.
Well, and that's the thing that I noticed right away. And when I started seeing, that Jean-Baptiste had another side to him, where there was this guy that actually had a hip hop career and he was rapping in English. I was like, holy shit, I got it. I'm curious. And then when I started listening, and I'm someone who, I guess I'm of the age where I grew up like in the golden age of hip hop. I'm 52. So for me, I was, I grew up with guys that could spit. And when I heard you, I was like, holy shit, this guy's got skills. He can rap. And that's what brought me to another appreciation of you. I was like, okay, there's more to this guy than just doing funny videos. And then when I heard the record, I was like, man, this holds up with anything else that's out today. I wanted to, how old are you? I'm just curious.
32.
Okay. So what did you grow up listening to? Because when I'm listening to you, you definitely aren't influenced by much that's going on in hip hop today.
No.
I hear that right away. I'm like, no.
Yeah, no. And also, I love that you picked that up too. But that was one of the main focuses that me and my manager were talking about. Like our favorite era of hip hop was like the 2000s.
Okay.
And like the late 90s, the early 2000s. That's really when hip hop kind of blew up and became pop to what it is now. But like, yeah, that's our favorite era of beats. One of the records in particular called Gold Truffles, that one was like, we were literally looking for, okay, we need like a Jeff Blaze type beat because this is what we want to go for, you know? So we really were like, okay, you know what? Like I could do the modern stuff. Like the modern stuff kind of comes easy to me and I could always do it. And that's why I have, like,
the modern stuff comes easy to anybody that can say 2 words and goes.
Exactly. So yeah, so I have 1 or 2 records like that on there, but like I really wanted to focus on my versatility and really put it out there and really like I love bars. I love to rap. Like that's I grew up listening to like Nas is one of my favorite rappers. Jay-Z is one of my favorite rappers. 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying was the first album I ever bought my own money in 2003 in Walmart. I was like 12 years old. And I did my research too. And when I met my manager, I went back to listen to Rakim. I listened to a lot of Wu-Tang. So like for me, the emphasis has always been bars and lyrics and words and how you play around with words. And that's why I love Jay-Z. I think Jay-Z is probably the best because the way he's able to he's very clever. He's able to flip words pretty well. And I love Biggie too because of his flow. And like, I just love all those late 90s, early 2000 rappers that those are really, that's what made me fall in love with music and hip hop in general. So I really wanted to bring some of that feel back. And that was like a main focus. With, okay, especially then those times, like, even if you think of artists like Biggie, Puff, where his videos were really like colorful, like Missy Elliott and like Busta Rhymes. So that's kind of where Candyland came from as well. We're like, okay, we got to give sugar to the masses, but like that doesn't mean that it's gonna be like a sellout type of sugar. It can be like really colorful and stuff, but like there's also really high end Belgian chocolate that's still candy and sugary, but it's a high quality, you know. So at surface level, it could seem like just really colorful and really provocative and just surface level, but it's really much deeper than that. And that's why in the last record on the album called Inside the Rapper, it kind of all culminates into like those 4 bars where I'm talking about that, where it's like, yeah, just breaking down like why I did this album, why I did it this way, and what it really was, and what's inside of the rapper, quote unquote. That's the name of the song, and it just, yeah, man, I just love the early 2000s, and I really wanted to bring that back to now because I feel like a lot of the music in it, because hip hop became pop, and once anything goes pop, you kind of lose that essence, the realness to it. You know, it just kind of like it's all paper play. It's all okay. Well, you're a big pop artist, and you got to work with other big pop artists, and all the money from the labels, and it's like it lost that grittiness and that grit that was underneath the surface. So I kind of wanted to bring that aspect of hip hop back. You know, so with these records.
And it also gave me, when I listen to some of it, it also gives me a bit of a Tribe Called Quest vibe too. There's some fun in there, you know, and they were really, really good at being fun and almost teetering on the pop side, but still keeping it real. And yeah, man, it's really, really good what you do. And I'm glad that we got a chance to chat today because I've been curious since I first saw the Fuck You English video. I can't remember which one it was, but man, I remember just literally dying, and my wife and I would be following them, waiting for the next ones. And I'm glad we got a chance to chat. I just wanted to ask you this really quickly. I heard from our producer of the show that you did something when you were in France about poutine, and you actually got invited to a place to eat.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about that story.
So basically, the first time I went to France, which was in November, I didn't have a show there. I just went there with my friend while I was on the European tour.
Yeah.
And then I walked past this poutine spot where they said "Meilleur poutine au monde," and I just thought
it's too fucking.
It was too good. I'm in France, and you tell me "Meilleur poutine au monde." I'm like, come on. And a lot of people ask me how I come up with the video ideas, but a lot of time I'm just walking down like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, okay, that could be a video, and I just film it and I just do it and I put it out. And it really, a lot of French people were upset. What I said, a lot of Quebecois people were like, how dare they even say that? And come to find out, it was like, I think a lot of people was like, oh, I think it's a Quebecois person that opened a shop out there, and it wasn't Meilleur poutine au monde, but it was like an international a Quebecois International award where it's like, okay, who has the best poutine outside of Quebec? But I was just making joke. I didn't care. So then after all that hoop, like it kind of went viral, and then the restaurant actually DM'd me and said, "Yo, you should actually taste the poutine." And they wanted to capitalize off the the whole virality of shit. So yeah, they hit me up, and I kind of wanted to try it because I'm like, it could be good content as well.
Sure.
So I'm like, let me ask my followers, and then like 75% of people were like, nah, do not try it.
So
don't do it. Stay true. And I did it. Honestly, I didn't have time to do it. I was gonna do it. I wasn't gonna post it because everybody told me not to, my followers told me not to do, so I didn't want to betray them. But I was gonna try, but I just didn't have time when I was out there. But yeah, it was pretty interesting because I've never had poutine outside of Quebec ever in my life.
It's horrible.
I feel like it's blasphemous.
It is. It really is.
And then, but the thing is, a lot of people who tried that poutine, they were like, "Nah, bro, you don't want to try it. I'm not going to do it."
Well, listen, it's like trying a bagel in New York. I mean, if you're from here, a Montreal bagel is a Montreal bagel. Like a bagel in New York City, yeah, they're going to give you this whole idea that there's a smaller hole and a bigger surface for cream cheese. But no, man, it's not the same thing. It's a big fucking roll.
Yeah, 100%. Like, it's super overrated. Also, when I was in New York, I tried Joe's Pizza, which is kind of overrated as well.
Yeah,
I kind of like Montreal pizza better. I don't know. I might be biased, but I feel like we got some good stuff here.
And when you go to Europe, like when I went to Italy, it was the same thing. I went to Rome expecting to be blown away by the food, and I'm like, it was good, but it's nothing I haven't tasted in Montreal.
Exactly. I think we're just spoiled. We really got amazing
we really
food.
Do. And I think when you travel and you come back home, and that's what happened to me. I traveled all over Europe, States with music, came back, and I was like, you know what? We've got it really good here, and that's why I'm staying here. As much as I love LA, I live there, and it's like a second home for me. I'm staying here. We got it really good here.
100%.
Thanks for taking the time to chat, man. I really appreciate it. Tell people where they can find out more about you and what do you have coming up? I know you dropped the record. What's on the next few months for you?
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for having me, by the way. So Candyland out now everywhere. I have remix EP of Candyland coming out soon. I have some videos coming out soon. What else? I'm going to be touring with Apache again. And so that's going to be coming out. You can check me out on all socials. It's Afro Wasiu, Afro Wasiu. And more TikToks, more fun lyric videos. I'm working on a lot of things right now. So actually, I have a pretty cool ad campaign coming out pretty soon, and that delving into a different aspect of marketing. So it's going to be interesting.
Looking forward to seeing it. And we'll be following it, man. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
What a great guy. And also, it's just kind of funny how he throws in how many millions of streams his music gets. It's, between his view count, his music, I generally sometimes feel a tad Tanya Harding, leg smashing jealousy to some of these internet celebrities sometimes. But for him, no, I definitely have a lot of respect for what he's been able to accomplish. And really glad that he uses so much of his creativity, has this new outlet, just kind of found that. Like, I understand what it's like when you think of yourself only as a musician, and then when you dabble in something else and another thing kind of takes off, it's really good to not put yourself in a box, and he definitely does not do that. No,
and he's all over the place, and I love the fact that he's able to succeed in music and succeed in comedy, and it just shows that he's definitely a double threat, and he's probably got more talent that we don't know about, but definitely someone I think you should watch out for. Listen to his new album Candyland. It's a great record. It's a lot of fun. The guy's got lyrical skills. He can throw down with the best of them when it comes to MCing. And I'm impressed. I'm really, really impressed. And I'm glad we got to have him on the show because he kept Julia and I laughing through the pandemic. Side-splittingly, I would be at work and I'd be like, have you seen the new Jean-Baptiste video? And she'd be like, I can't believe he's doing that. It's hilarious. So thank you, Wasiu, for joining us.
I also like how we all three of us agree that some modern hip hop is just doing it wrong.
Oh yeah. I mean, listen, I will talk about this till the cows come home. Yeah. And I know, my kids will tell me that I'm, the old man yelling at a cloud, but hip hop has been in a rough spot. And there are some people that are carrying the flag, carrying the baton to pass on to the next generation. And we've had a couple of them on the show. I mean, listen, you know how much I love Denzel Curry. Denzel is one of the best to do it right now. So, and Wasiu's right up there, man. So glad to have him on the show. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Thanks to my co-host, Ryan Stick. Thank you to our producer, Julia Kajerski, who you don't get to see often. And it's a shame because if
She's the best looking of all three of us. Like,
I was just going to say,
put me and you together in a handsome contest and just put Julia in there with a fake beard, she would still win the handsome contest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our incredible producer and also very beautiful producer, Julia Kajerski. We should put her. Let's get that picture of her with a beard on. No, let's not do that. But thank you, Julia, for helping us with everything as well, our producer. And thank you to Heartbeat Hot Sauce, the heartbeat of the Rockman Power Hour. And we're going to be doing some new stuff with them very, very soon. Use our promo code Rockman20 to get 20% off your entire order. Our thanks also to Studio House Designs, and check them out at studiohousedesigns.com. They've got new drops coming all the time. And thanks to you for joining us on this journey. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell so you're alerted as to when new episodes drop. And we'll see you next time on the Rockman Power Hour.